No matter how long and how hard any job seems to be, there's always a way to do it. Always an answer to everything that seems to go wrong. And it looks as if the Gregory party have found the answer to their troubles. When Mrs. Gregory, her daughter Joan, Jerry Hall, and Captain Bradford were taken to the Euclidean city beneath the sea and given their freedom to roam through the city as they pleased, it proved that the freedom was mostly imaginary, as they are prisoners. Perhaps even more surely prisoners than they were on the Magic Island. The Euclidean city is built in 13 enormous natural caves under the ocean, the smallest of these rooms being a mile in diameter, and the largest nearly 2 miles across. The highest point in this weird city is 200 feet below the water, and escape has seemed impossible. Now, however, we find Jerry and Joan walking through one of the large caves, and they're mighty cheerful about something.
But, Joan, are you sure G47 will keep its promise?
I have told you repeatedly, Jerry, that G47 need not stoop to the practice of deceiving anyone. He is quite secure in Euclidia.
Well, I guess that's right. He could let Tex work with those rocket ships all he wanted to, and still be mighty sure that there wasn't any danger of our stealing one of them.
Captain Bradford is very clever, but even he would find it impossible to take a rocket ship out of these underwater caverns.
Yeah, I guess he would. But if the Euclideans... Hey, where are we going?
We are going to the transportation room, where we will be allowed to see all of the Euclidean methods of transportation.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
What were you about to say when you interrupted yourself?
When I interrupted myself?
Yes, Jerry, you were mentioning the Euclidean rocket ships and the impossibility of getting one of them out of this colony.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just thinking about how impossible that impossibility really is.
Jerry, an impossibility is an impossibility. There are no degrees of comparison. A matter is either possible or impossible.
You just saved me the trouble of trying to tell you that. If it's impossible to get all those submarine rocket ships and all the other gadgets these guys use to get around in, and if it's impossible to get them out of here, what good are they? Did they build them just to look at them?
I stated that Captain Bradford could not get them out.
The Euclideans get them out, don't they?
Naturally.
Then Tex Bradford can get them out.
That does not follow. The Euclideans will impose certain restrictions on the captain.
And when Tex gets ready, he'll smash those restrictions all to pieces.
I hope you are correct, Jerry.
You sound like your hopes were mighty weak. Say, Joan, our footsteps don't make any more noise.
I had observed that. We are entering a section of the city where the floor of the cavern has been covered with the Euclidean noiseless steel.
And our voices are getting that funny hollow sound they had up in that sound laboratory on the island.
So they are. I believe that would indicate that we are approaching one of the more important sound testing laboratories on this level.
Then maybe we'll see something interesting, huh?
If we are allowed to see anything, it will prove interesting.
Well, I'll agree with that. These Euclideans put on a good show, even if they're only giving you something to eat.
Jerry, stop.
What's the matter?
In another moment, you would have walked into that steel wall.
Oh, looks like it. Oh, well, we can go some other way.
But the captain wanted us to visit the transportation chambers, and we were directed here.
Well, directed or not, I'm not walking through any walls today.
There must be some other manner of passing that wall.
Oh, sure there is. But if they don't want us there, we'll stay on this side.
Jerry, there is that signal again.
Yeah. Sounds like the one they use when they want us to come to lunch. But it's only 4 o'clock now.
The signal sounded 4 times. Is that not logical at 4 o'clock?
Well, sure, if that's what it's for. But they didn't do that at 1 or at 2 or at 3 o'clock. Why do it at 4?
I do not know.
Well, maybe... Oh, golly whiskers, Joan.
What is it, Jerry?
Look, through this wall.
Euclideans.
I'll say Euclideans.
I have never seen so many together at one time.
Well, there must be 50 of them, all dressed alike, in those funny costumes of Euclidean cloth.
They are rapidly approaching this transparent steel wall.
And this wall's plenty soundproof, or else they're walking on this noiseless steel. They're heading straight for this wall.
Then there is an opening in the wall for them to pass through.
Well, unless they're going to walk right straight through it.
This is a solid steel wall, Jerry, and there is no magic in Euclidia.
Well, that's what old G47 told us when we first got here, but I still don't believe it.
If you will look carefully at this wall, you will note that it is rising. Silently and slowly, but surely rising.
Yeah, it's going up all right. Say, we'd better get back out of the way and let the parade through.
It will be wise to step slightly to one side.
Well, that wall's up just over their heads now, and here they come. Gee, that's a creepy sight. That long line of people, all dressed exactly alike, marching along in single file, looking straight ahead, and not a sound out of them.
Needless conversation is not encouraged among the workers of Euclidia.
Well, this bunch sure isn't wasting any words on us. I never knew so many blame people could have so little to say as a gang around this spooky place.
I think we should attempt to pass under the wall while it is raised.
Good girl, Joan. Come on. And if anybody stops us, they'll have to move out of that chain gang they're in. I'd be glad just to get in that chain gang and watch it bust up.
Quickly, Jerry, the procession is nearly through.
Okay, come on then. Only a couple of steps and we'll be on the other side of the wall. Well, we made it, and nobody tried to stop us.
We are barely in time. The wall is sinking down to the floor.
And that long line of spooks is marching off someplace.
Jerry, what is a spook?
Oh, a spook is something you see every time you turn around on Euclidia, and G47 says he hasn't any up.
Oh, that is horrible English, Jerry.
Well, maybe it is, but it's the way I feel. Oh, boy, our voices sound all right again.
That is something.
Yeah, and we're on the other side of the wall. That's something else.
It will be difficult to decide upon our course.
Huh? Oh, why, Joan, this is really something to see.
I agree with you.
Are you sick?
Sick? You think I am ill?
Oh, must be something wrong with you. You agreed with me.
Jerry, will you
All
please?
all right. I won't try to have any more fun with you. Let's get down to business and decide which one of these little streets we want to use.
There is apparently no activity at any point in this portion of Euclidia.
Sure not much going on, but what a place this is. A regular little modern city, all laid out in streets and everything just perfect. I got it.
What have you, Jerry?
I've got the answer to this model town.
Yes?
Oh, I'll bet the Euclideans are planning to start model towns like this when they take over the rest of the world.
Well, that is possible. It is indeed a model of neatness.
Well, I guess it won't do any harm to look in one of these windows.
Wait, Jerry.
Huh?
As we are walking on this noiseless stone, do you not think we should give some indication of our presence before we attempt to peer into windows?
Well, I suppose we ought to. Hello in there. Hello in there. Hello in there.
Jerry, you are terribly noisy.
Guess I'm not noisy enough, though. I didn't wake anyone yet. I'll try it again.
Please do not. I think we may consider these buildings vacant and observe them as we choose.
On the contrary, you would be very foolish to attempt to pry into the secrets of those buildings.
Gee, the girl commander.
Precisely.
I am sorry if we have overstepped the privileges given us by G47.
You have not done so as yet.
No, then we won't. But where did you come from?
The building you have just passed. My quarters are contained in that building.
You were correct, Jerry. These are occupied.
Indeed, they are. These buildings are the quarters of the various commanders. You are now in Transportation Sector Number 1. This entire block is occupied by submarine commanders. The adjacent street houses airplane pilots.
Well, we don't want to stick our noses in any place we're not supposed to see, but G47 told us we could look at anything we get into.
That is a point on which I must question you. How did you get into this sector?
We just walked in.
Through the steel separation wall?
That wall was raised to allow a long column of workers to pass through. We entered as they passed out.
So, someone in the control tower is very careless. You must leave at once.
What commander?
Silence. You must leave at once. If you were found here, G47 would deprive you of all freedom and confine you to your quarters.
Okay, Skipper. How do we get out?
Follow me as rapidly as possible. I will personally allow you to pass through a private entrance in the rear of my quarters.
Well, where will we be after we get there? I mean, what kind of a place will we be in? And how do we get from there back to our quarters?
You will be in the agricultural chamber.
You mean where the pigs and the chickens and the cows are?
Precisely. You will be directly across the animal husbandry section from your own sector.
But, Commander, how can that be? We have walked for miles, and we left that room at the beginning of our tour.
The various caverns making up Euclidia form a rough circle. You have nearly completed that circle.
Golly whiskers, Joan. We've been walking in a circle.
Precisely. Now I will open the door, which will admit you to the agricultural section.
Jerry, it is indeed the chamber in which we started our walk.
It sure is. And is that the elevator to our quarters way over there on the other side?
That is the elevator. One moment while I close this door.
You need not trouble yourself to the extent of conducting us to our elevator.
Silence. I have news for you.
News for us.
Precisely.
Good or bad news?
Your conduct will decide that. My opinion would be that you will, in all probability, utilize this news in a manner both foolish and dangerous. However, that is your privilege.
Well, gee, you've got me all excited. What's the news?
Your Captain Bradford is at this minute.
Commander,
What is the meaning of this interruption, Cleostra?
I offer my apologies for that, but I was frightened by the thought that we might be overheard as you gave us this news.
Yeah, What if somebody heard you telling us something you're not supposed to tell?
Do not presume so far. What I am going to tell you is common knowledge among the Euclideans. However, we will not be overheard. This sector is normal in every respect. We are as safe as if we were speaking in an open plot of ground in your own world.
Okay, Commander. What is it?
Captain Bradford has been taken to the transportation laboratory, where we will see every device known to the Euclideans, including the rocket ships.
We were aware of that.
Here is something you were not aware of, and I think the one detail which G-47 has overlooked in guaranteeing your safe imprisonment here.
Well, Captain Bradford has figured out a way to escape?
Not as yet, but I would advise you to tell the captain this. Your homing pigeons may be found in the transportation laboratory.
Jerry, those little homing pigeons.
Oh, boy. If Tex can only figure how to get those pigeons up to the top of the water.
Do not raise your voices, and do not discuss this with the captain in your quarters. Bring him to this section, where we are standing now, immediately after lunch tomorrow. I will meet you here, obviously by accident. In the meantime, say nothing to the captain or to Mrs. Gregory.
But can't we even...
Tomorrow at noon, immediately after lunch, and execute your movements carefully. Your only hope of ever leaving this city rests with those pigeons. Make no mistake about that.